Hi everyone. So today I wanted to share with you a little bit about the tax return process here in the canton of Bern. To give you some context, I am a foreign national working in a different canton who resides in Bern. And typically, as a foreign national, when you get your salary, you are deducted the tax at source. So before you get your salary each month, they deduct a certain amount for the taxes, and often this is higher than what you need to pay. So what you can then do is essentially you can tell the administration that you would like to file for tax returns, and then they calculate manually how much tax you need to pay, and typically this is in your favor, so you get back some amount of money, typically maybe ranging from somewhere between 300 to 1,000 francs. So given that it's quite a lot of money, I think it's worth doing. However, as with most things related to admin, none of it really makes sense. So after spending quite some time trying to figure it out, uh, I thought I will just share some of that information with you over here. So I hope it helps you. And so yeah, let's get started. The first thing you will have to do is to set up the AGOV app on your phone. So the AGOV app is essentially like the new way of verifying your identity when you log into this particular portal. So to get there, the first thing you have to do is essentially you just search for AGOV Burn registration, and it's the first link that pops up. Over here, you will be taken to a site, this purple color site, where you will have to use it every time you want to log in. Right now, you don't have the app set up, so you can't directly scan the code. So what you need to first do is go to the registration section over here, and it asks you to verify your email address, provide some personal details, and then finally you set it up on your phone. So as you're doing this, also make sure to download the AGOV app on your phone and keep it ready so that you can finish this process fast. It doesn't take too much time, but you need this app to log into your tax portal down the road. Great. So now that you've set up the AGOV application on your phone, you can now go to the main website where you need to file your taxes, and that's taxme.burn. So essentially, how you get there is you need to first access the TaxMe portal. So you just Google TaxMe portal Burn and go to the first website you see. It looks like this. Over here, you need to go to the login page. And when you do this for the first time, you don't have many of the details that you need to do this as a foreign national. So you need to request those and register for them before you can actually log into this portal. So there are three main numbers that you need over here. So you have the ZPV number, the case number, and the ID code. This is not exactly accessible to you. So anyone working in the canton of Bern does have a ZPV number, but at least I did not know what mine was. And so what you need to do is first you need to contact the NOV office of Bern, of the canton of Bern. I mean, it's a long German name, but there's also like a phone number and an email address. So you can send them an email with some of your details. So you send them your contract that you're working, maybe your payment slip. So your employer should give you a payment slip before you do any of this process, and that payment slip will detail how much money you received last year, how much tax you paid, and so on. So you can ask them for the payment slip, and you send that payment slip to the email, which is nov.sv@be.ch. I'll put all of those details in the description box below, so you can just copy paste it. So when you contact them, they will respond to you with a certain form. Now, the email that they respond to you with, in the header, you should find the ZPV number, right? They will ask you for the ZPV number in the form that they send, and the ZPV number is on the title of the email that they respond to you. If that doesn't happen, maybe you can email them and ask them for your ZPV number, and they should tell you. So now that you have the ZPV number, you can then move on to filling the form that they sent you. So this is essentially called an ROA form. So this registers you for the process of doing tax returns in the canton of Bern. So you have to fill it with all of your regular details. The AHV number is asked over here. So the AHV number is the insurance number that you have from the state. So you should already have an AVS/AHV number from the state once you're a resident over here with whatever your permit is. You should have an AHV number for your as part of your role. So you can put that number over here. For this is the number you use for your medical insurance, basically. The ZPV number again you should find in the response email that they send you. That email is where this form is also attached. So just copy paste that number from the title of the email, fill up your other details, including your bank account. I assume you have only one bank account, so put in those details. And once you're done filling this up, you email it back to this particular email, nov.sv@be.ch. And once you do that, you should essentially, along with the document that they will send you, you should be ready to do the process. So once you send this email, this particular office will process it, and in around 2 weeks, you should receive something in your inbox, like in a physical mail, which contains the ZPV number again, but also the other codes that you need. So remember, the other codes that you need are the case number and the ID code. So all of these numbers will be present in the physical letter that they send you. Yeah, so now that you have all three numbers, you can then proceed to registering yourself on the TaxMe portal. It's quite straightforward. There's not a lot of things you need. You also need to enter your AHV number in the process. But once that is done, you're pretty much ready to file your tax returns, which is, yeah, it's good news. It also along the way asks you how they will contact you. So they ask you whether you want to get mails through e-post from them or through physical post. I would recommend you select the option of both, where they send you an e-post on the, I don't exactly understand what it is, but there's an e version of a Swiss Post that they send it to you, but they will also send you the physical paper copy every time they contact you for something. And I think it's better to also have that on, just to be safe. So that's something you can do as you register with these three numbers. And with that, let's then see what the actual process of filling the tax return looks like. Right. So you made it over here, which means you already have all your numbers. You've registered with the TaxMe portal, and now you can log into it for the first time. Essentially, what you need to do is go back to the login page of the TaxMe portal, but now that you have a code, you can log in. So you say start login, and then you need to enter your email address that you've registered for this process. And that should take you directly to the AGOV website. And with the AGOV app that you've already registered and set up on your phone, you just give it a quick scan. And with that, you should be already in the portal. Over here, you need to start a tax return. I've already started one, but so let's just get into it. So once you start it, you're taken to the first page where over here you should see a bunch of your details. So all of this should be already filled, which is your address, your birth date, your denomination, and things like this. So all of this is already filled. You need to mention some questions, whether you live alone in your house, and also enter the IBAN of your bank account for which you're filing this particular tax return. So once you file that in, you essentially go through the form. I'm not going to stop with each of these, but it's just a bunch of emails and contact details that you need to fill up. And over here, when they ask you about your employment, if you don't do any of these other activities, which I assume you don't as a foreign national coming here for the first time, in that case, you can just select income from dependent employment, which is your job. And it will then ask you to enter some details about your job. What you can do is essentially what you need now is to access also the pay slip that you got from your employer. So that's the document that you should be referring to when you fill out this particular section of your TaxMe portal page. So you would just fill it in with a bunch of details, employment percentage. Again, it should be on your work contract. The amount over here that you need to put in for this particular thing is the net salary, not the gross. So you put in whatever net salary. Let's say I'm very rich. Uh, and then in the payslip that you got from your employer, you should have a row which mentions the second pillar. So let me just show that to you quickly. So here's an example of what your form would look like. It's a standardized template across all of Switzerland, so everyone should look the same when you get it from your employer. And when you're filling in the particular page on the TaxMe portal, it will ask you for the second pillar amount that you paid from your salary. And that's essentially this particular section over here. So this section 10 of the form, it's the contribution to the second pillar of social contributions, and that amount is mentioned over here. So it's some particular number. Taking that number, you need to then go back to the TaxMe page, and then you can select how much you paid and things like that. And if it asks you if you worked for a employer outside your canton, you have to say yes if you do, which is the case in my case. Over here, you will be asked to upload your payslip. So the thing that you got from your employer, you just have to upload it over here, and then that's sorted. And essentially what you then have to do is on your payslip, check for whether box F, box G are checked. In my case, that's not the case, and I think this should be the case for most foreign nationals doing this process. So yeah, that's what it is. Again, you can go into each of these sections. So 10.1, 10.2 again correspond to the sections 10.1, 10.2 on the payslip that you got from your employer. So whatever number you contributed to pillar 2 that it mentions, you need to enter it over here. Yeah. And so then you just click save. You're done with that. So this is the amount that you've earned from a specific employer. And then you go on to the remaining sections. Over here, it asks you for other sources of income which are not from salaries. So yeah, whatever that might be, if you got some gifts or unemployment benefits for some of you, especially people who are from the EU, should can potentially get something like that. So if you do, here's where you put that. And then if you have a bank that offers you e-tax statements, so not all banks do this, but some banks give you a statement at the end of the year with like a QR code on it. So you just have to upload that QR code and it automatically fills in the remaining details of this form. My bank does not do that, so I had to do it manually, and many of you would probably want to check it also. So let's just go ahead and have a look at that. So the next few pages are about the assets you have. Select the bank account, which all of us should have. And over here, you need to enter the details of your bank account. Uh, so the name of your bank, your IBAN, uh, whether you pay withholding tax. So do you pay a certain amount to the bank to keep the money for you? Uh, and that amount that you paid should also be mentioned in the final thing over here, which is cost, fees, and expenses. Additionally, what you need to do is go to your bank app, and for the financial year that you're filing this, which is the previous year, you can extract a tax statement, and this tax statement is made after the end of the year. So at the end of the previous year, it makes this with your bank balance as you had it on December 31st of the previous year. So that number has to be entered over here. So then you can essentially, after filling all of this, you can go on to the next section. So over here, you will essentially be given an overview of your asset. So whatever you've declared in the forms before this, you can have a look at it overall at one particular time. And then finally, they ask you some questions about any other assets you have, like real estate. Most people know. Uh, yeah. So again, if you have a lot of cash, I would declare that as well. Uh, just by selecting this, and then it should take you to the relevant subsection where you enter the details of how much that is and where you got it from and things like that. Uh, Again, there's also a section for debt, which I'm not going into. Finally, it takes you to this particular section on professional expenses. This is relevant to all of us. So you need to enter your particular profession in this particular section over here, profession, workplace, so wherever you work. And you need to select the expenses that you have on a typical day, right, when you go to work. In my case, uh, I would select costs for public transport and costs for meals outside your home, right? You go on to the next page and it basically zooms into the things that you ticked. So it takes you and asks you how much you spend on public transport in the previous year. So how much did you spend in the year that you're filing this for? Now, if you have an exact value, that's great. You can just enter that and you're done. Alternatively, you might want to calculate like an approximate value. However, be aware that you will be like people, there will be a physical review of whatever you enter on this form, and people will decide if that makes sense or not. And if it doesn't, they might get back to you asking you for proof of some kind. That you actually paid so much. Yeah, just be honest, but you can also have some approximation of how much you spend in case you don't have the exact value in francs. So you can enter whatever you spent for public transport related to your work, right? So this is only related to your work. And then in my case, I also entered food that I have outside. Over here, you need to essentially enter the number of meals that you had outside. So whatever that number is, it calculates a certain amount by multiplying the number of meals by a certain amount that they have fixed. So they have fixed a cost per meal. I think it's 15 francs when I make this video. So they just multiply that, and that's the total amount that they give you. Again, there are two categories here. You can fill in like normal meals or meals from subsidized sources. So if you're a university student with access to a subsidized uh, meal at your university, you can enter that in the section below, right? If you don't, if you're eating just like anybody else, then you enter the normal case above. So once you've entered this, It takes you to this particular section where you are asked of the other costs associated with your career. So all of this is only for professional expense. You cannot put like a sofa on it. However, if you spend to get like a table or a laptop of some kind, which which is part of your job, you can enter that amount over here by putting in the value of what you bought in total. So if you bought like a table, a working chair, and something else, you enter that. Cost of computers is put separately. You can also put membership fees of professional organizations in case you are part of any. And then finally, you would have to select this thing, which is how you deduct this professional expense uh, from the main tax burden. So essentially, what you can do is you can apply a flat rate. So in this case, the flat rate works on certain assumptions that the canton makes and calculates an amount that they give everyone this relief if you check all the boxes that you're employed, etc., etc. The other option is you can choose to do it on your effective costs, which is based on the amounts that you've entered for each of these sections, that how much you spent for a home office, how much you spent for a computer, how much you spent for membership fees, so on. So accounting for all of that, it makes an effective cost specialized for you. Typically, in my experience, for the salary that doctoral students make, I think flat rate is better. It works in your favor. So it's I would go for flat rate if you don't earn a lot of money. However, if you do, you can always like check that section and see if that amount is lower or higher and make a decision on how you want them to calculate this. So it's quite straightforward. So once you do that, uh, you are then given an overview again of your professional expenses and then asked if you have any trainings that you are going through for your career. You have to go through each and every one of them if any of them make sense to you. But you can enter some of the costs oriented with your training. So potentially you're learning a language at a language school, so that amount can be entered over here. So here you just type the type of training, where you're doing it, how much you're paying for it, all of that. Finally, you have to enter how much you pay for health insurance. So as a foreign national, I have taken a private insurance because I am not part of the public insurance system in Switzerland. So I've taken a private insurance that I pay a monthly premium on, and that amount should be entered over here. Whatever you're paying for it can be entered in this particular section. And then that essentially ends all the information that you need to submit. So then again, you're just going to go through an overview of everything that you've submitted, how much you earn, etc., etc. Go through these carefully, see if it makes sense. What you should see at the end of this is some amount over here, which is the tax liability or tax credit. So this is the total amount of tax that they expect you to pay. And if the amount on your payslip is higher than what this will calculate. And so essentially they will send you some money back after they process all of it. They will send you the remaining amount back to you. And that's really the benefit of doing this process. So again, you're in the final section where you look at all the overviews, right? And then they ask you for some feedback, which if you want, you can go for it. Or else you can also print out some of these documents to store. So you can print out the tax calculation and store it. Yeah. And then finally, you go to this page where they ask you if you need any additional documents. Most of the times, no. The only thing they need is your payslip from your employer. And once they have that, you go to this page where you declare that you filled it in correctly. and then it should take you to the submit page. So you have an option to submit it electronically. And once you hit submit, it's then sent to the office, and the tax office then will review your application. It's usually reviewed in the order that it's sent in. So depending on how late you submitted, it will take longer to process it. But typically, from what I gather, it should take 4 to 6 months. After 4 to 6 months, you will get some amount of money back in your account, and you can treat yourself to a coffee. Uh, so yeah, this is essentially the end of your tax returns form filling. Just to give you an overview again, we first downloaded the AGOV app. We then requested the ZPV number and the other details, which is the ID code and the case number. We requested to the NOV department through email, and we then filled a form that they sent with all of these details, the ZPV number, the AVS number, which is the insurance number, sent it back to them. They sent us back a letter that has the case number and the ID number, which is not there on the email response that they give. Using all of these four numbers, which is the AVS number, ZPV number, ID number, and the case number, you use all of these to then go to the TaxMe portal for Bern. And in the TaxMe portal, you register yourself. Once you're registered using all of these numbers, you can then log in to the TaxMe portal using the AGOV app. So you enter your email, log in using the AGOV app, and that should take you to this particular portal where you fill in all your details, starting from who you are, what you earn, how much you're spending on different professional expenses, how much tax you're already paying. Again, remember to get the pay slip from your employer before you do any of this process. So the pay slip for the previous year that you're filing this particular tax returns for, you should already have it. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of work, but hopefully this video helps you a little bit to go through it faster. And I hope it also gives you some uh, rewards financially by giving you some amount of their tax back. All right, so thank you, and I hope it helps. Bye bye.